In this video, we'll show you how to replace the parking brake shoes on your Subaru Baja. These are located in the rear of the vehicle and behind the brake rotor. Let's get started. With the vehicle raised and supported, we can remove our wheel. We'll remove the lug nuts with a 19mm. If the wheel's stuck, you can thread one of the lug nuts about halfway back on. And I'm going to use a dead blow hammer on the back of the wheel. You want to try not to strike the rim, and just strike the tire. And we can remove the wheel. We have two 14mm bolts holding the caliper bracket on. I'll be using a wobble extension for this. And we can do the same up top. When you go to remove the caliper from the knuckle, it's good to have something to hold it up, whether that's a hook or a securing strap. Just keep that from falling. And we can remove the rotor. Using a 14mm, I'm going to remove one of our slide pin bolts. Work the caliper body off. And now you'll want to hang the caliper body up and keep that from falling. To make it easier to remove the lower spring here, we'll go ahead and turn the adjuster. To turn this in, we need to turn it up. I'm going to use a small pry bar and just rotate this until the gap here is gone. All right, now that's adjusted all the way in. To remove the lower spring, I'm going to use a set of needle nose pliers. Stretch that over. Up top we have two springs. I'm going to use a set of needle nose pliers. And you can stretch each of those off. To remove the pin from the shoe, we can press in on it with a flathead screwdriver and turn 90 degrees. We can do the same with the pin on the other shoe. Go ahead and pull off our first shoe. Our rearward shoe is attached to our parking brake cable. We have a small clip holding the cable bracket to the shoe. There is a small spring washer behind that clip. We can remove the shoe. We have a small piece that goes between the two shoes. You want to make sure that this stays in the correct orientation. Our parking brake hardware was very rusted, so we're going to have to replace it. We'll get that back in the same orientation. Before installing the first shoe, I'm just going to apply a little bit of silicone paste to the pin that goes through our cable connector. Pop that through. Install the spring washer. We'll get that onto the pin. and pinch the ears in to lock it in place. And get this shoe lined up. We have our spring, pin, and spring plate. And get that through. You need to line it up with the hole in the backing plate. With the pin lined up in the backing plate, we can turn it 90 degrees to lock it in. Get our upper springs into the shoe. And stretch that over to the center post. One end of your adjuster is threaded and the other simply has a pin. I'm going to apply some silicone paste to the pin and install that into the adjuster. With the adjuster in place, we can install the large spring. There's a small grommet behind the adjuster. I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver and push that out so that we can adjust the parking brake once we have the rotor on. If your hub is rusty and dirty, you're going to want to clean it with some brake parts cleaner, a rag, and a brush. Ours is new, so we don't need to clean this up. You always want to apply a little bit of anti-seize to the hub-centric ring. Got the rotor installed. And I like to use an old axle nut and one of the lug nuts to help hold the rotor to the hub. That'll help for adjusting the parking brake as well as getting the caliper and pads back on. With the grommet removed from the back side of the backing plate, we can see our adjuster through the slot. We'll turn the adjuster until it stops and then turn it back the other direction a few times. Once you have the parking brake adjusted, go ahead and install the grommet into the slot. That'll hold the rotor on. We can get our bracket on and get our bolts started in from the back side. We can go ahead and snug these down. And we can torque these to 58 foot-pounds. When installing your brake pads, you want to make sure that your squealer bar is on the inside and faces in the way that it's going to touch the rotor when the rotor is rotating in this direction. You want it touching first. If it goes the other way, it's going to pull it away. It's not going to do its job. We can get the pads in. I like to start on one side, top or bottom, get that in, and then you can push in the other side. I'm going to apply more silicone paste to the other slide pin and start to get that in. Same as the other one, you want to pinch the boot and get all the excess air out. Now we need to compress the caliper in order to get it to fit over the pads. To do that, if you don't have a caliper compressor, an old pad, and either a big set of pliers, if you have an oil filter wrench like I have here, these work great. We can get our slide pin bolt started in. And we can torque the slide pin bolts to 28.9 foot-pounds. You want to make sure to remove the strap that you used. If you used a lug nut to hold the rotor on, remove that as well. We can get the wheel back on. Get the wheel on the hub. I'm going to install one lug nut all the way down. That'll hold our wheel on while we install the rest. Now we can snug these down. We can torque these to 80 foot-pounds in a star pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.